Aloha and welcome to the very first episode of the Hawaii Farmers Series, where we will be hearing stories of Hawaii's farmers and supporters. I'm your host for this series, Justine Espirutu, and we are so thankful to ThinkTech Hawaii for giving us this opportunity. I will be having a co-host, Matthew Johnson of Oahu Fresh, and we're briefly going to describe the purpose and reasoning behind this show and then introduce our guests. So to start off with, we were interested in, one, bringing on Hawaii's agriculture movers and shakers to hear their story on how they became involved in agriculture, as well as ask them what do they see as how we need to improve Hawaii's food system, as well as get some background and personal information about them and kind of learn and understand why they love what they do. So today's guests are Fung Yang from Kline Farm and Terry Shintaku from Green Growers. So thank you guys for coming on. Matt, do you want to briefly kind of give your background with Oahu Fresh and why you so kindly joined me to co-host this series?
Yeah, well, any show that, Justine, that you're doing, I definitely want to be a part of. And yeah, Oahu Fresh is a company that started about 5 years ago, working with local farms, helping to move their product from the farm to people's homes, offices, restaurants. So we do a CSA, Community Supported Agriculture. And then we also do direct distribution to restaurants, such as Mud Hen Water and Town Restaurant and Cactus Restaurant over in Kailua. And basically what we're trying to do is provide as much support to local farms as possible.
Awesome. And we're going to have all kinds of different folks that are involved with agriculture and local food. And we're starting off with two awesome farmers that are located here on Oahu. So again, thank you guys so much for joining us on our very first episode.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of give you a chance. Maybe we'll start with Yang, and you can just kind of introduce yourself, let us know what you're growing, where, and anything you want to do to kind of start it off, and then we'll kind of get to know Terry a little bit.
All right, thanks for having me at the show. My name is Yang. I have a small farm that grows certified organic mushrooms in Waimanalo, and that is the first ever portobello farm in Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it started off as a recycling project many years ago when I was running a recycling company that trying to figure out a way to process a large amount of organic food, organic waste, actually. And then what happened is I figured the best way to process organic waste is to compost. So when I start learning composting, I realized mushroom will grow on compost. And then more research are being done on this project, and then eventually that research project turned into a organic farm that grows certified organic mushrooms. And that's about 6 years ago. Now we are selling mostly to restaurants, farmers markets, and grocery stores. And that's my farm, and the name of the farm is Kline Farm. And well, I think that's all. You are next, Terry.
Yeah, Terry, how about we hear from you?
Well, actually, our farm is a hydroponic tomato farm. I mean, we grow other things, but we specialize in vine-ripened tomatoes. It was built in 1953, so it's a fairly old farm. Hydroponics in 1953 was fairly new back then. So it's state-of-the-art. My dad went to work there right when it opened. He graduated from Cal Poly, and he got a job there. And specializing in vine-ripened tomatoes. Then I went to UH and I graduated and I went back to work there. And so it's been a family operation since 1961. It's been in our family. So we basically now we've, since there's so much local movement for local produce, we have our main businesses become restaurants, CSAs like you have, and just trying to get it out to the local customers because the demand has become so strong for local products. So it's been a really good process for us.
So it's interesting, you both kind of have a niche specialty crop. You just grow mushrooms.
Just portobello.
But, okay, and then something I didn't know until I worked with you is that cremini mushrooms and portobellas are the same.
Yeah, they are coming from the same family. One is picked earlier, one is picked in the later stage of their life. That's the difference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but they are both tasty, and one is slightly mild taste than the other one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you are the only portobello mushrooms here on the island, but there are other mushrooms grown.
Yeah, on the Big Island, Kauai, they have people that grow oyster mushrooms and king oyster mushrooms and PPR over there, but nobody grow portobello yet. Yeah, maybe someday.
Yeah, and there's a bunch more about your technique and how you're growing that's really unique, not only to Hawaii, but also on a national level as well.
Yes, very much so. I think I am one of them. The farm, my farm is very small, and mostly the organic waste that we use is from tree trimmings and urban waste around the neighborhood. And nationally, back in the mainland, people don't use this kind of material to grow portobello mushrooms because they have large, abundant supplies of agricultural waste. Usually it's like hay, straw,
Manure.
horse manure, horse beddings. Those materials are plentiful and cheaply available in the mainland. But on this island, we don't see large-scale agriculture anywhere except the seed companies, and we cannot get a hold of their stuff. So I have to figure out a innovative way to create a large amount of organic waste to feed those mushrooms, because they are the nature's recycler. They need to recycle organic waste, and so that's my idea, coming up with waste from the urban environment, tree trimmings and cuttings.
Well, that's awesome that you found the way to make that happen. Like, those typical materials for portobello mushrooms aren't here. And so you kind of did your research and figured out how you can make that happen in Hawaii specifically.
Yeah, I'm still in the process of figuring it out right now after 6 years. It is a very challenging process because I can get a very little advice from other people in the mainland because they use different material, they have different particle size, different chemical contents, the process is slightly different, but we don't know which way to go, so we have to use try and error, and most of them are error right now. So.
Hey, Terry, let's switch over to you for a bit. So you mentioned that you were one of the first hydroponic farms
I believe,
in Hawaii.
Yeah, I believe it was the first hydroponic farm in Hawaii, being built in 1953. I mean, obviously, there wasn't a lot of technology back then.
And can you talk a little bit about like what hydroponic is?
Well, hydroponics is supposedly soilless growing, but we use lava cinders because our tomato plants need something for the roots to grow in and to be able to get nourishment. So what we do is we have beds. They're not enclosed. It's not in greenhouses. It's all open, out in the open. But they're in cement troughs, and they're filled with lava cinders. And daily we'll flush a nutrient solution. It's water that has fertilizers, soluble fertilizers in it. And daily we'll flush it in. And it's all recycled. The water comes back out of the beds. It goes back into a sump, and it catches it, and it pumps it back up. So everything's going round and round. So we don't lose any of this. It all stays within the system. And like I said, we're out in Hau'ula. So we do get a lot of rain, especially this year. But for the most part, we're outside, so we get direct sunlight. And that allows our tomatoes to fully ripen in the sun and then they'll get harvested, say on Monday. Tuesday we'll process them. Wednesday they'll be delivered, and they'll be in the markets or in the restaurants. And so we're looking at 2 days from the farm to the customers.
Wow.
And that's as fresh as you're going to get it. But,
And then, so with that technique, is there a reason that you guys focus on tomatoes? Do they particularly thrive with that method, or how did tomatoes kind of become your niche?
well, tomatoes seem to be, supposedly, you get the biggest return for your investment. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of people try to do hydroponic tomatoes. Lettuce, greens, they're fast returns. I mean, they grow quickly. So you can get a quick return, but you have to keep cultivating your farm. Whereas tomatoes, once you put them in, they're good for 6 months. And so you can keep harvesting off of the same plants, provided you don't get diseases or you don't get bad weather, you know. There's a lot of things that are out of our control. But for the most part, you know, we're in there and we try to get the most that we can off of the plants. But the other thing is, every farmer, when it comes to tomatoes, it's like wine. Every region, they have their own flavors. Tomatoes are like that, depending on where they're grown, what kind of fertilizers or how they're fed. It can affect the flavor. So I would say if you get a tomato from, say, the Big Island, and you get a tomato from Hau'ula, our Hau'ula tomatoes, you taste them side by side.
Different
They
flavor,
will
yeah.
be different. They will be different.
Wow, did not know that.
Interesting.
It is. And so, I mean, I'm not saying one tomato is better than the other. Everybody has their own taste, you know, preferences. And it's just that everybody's tomatoes are unique. And so I think that's a pretty awesome thing, you know, when you have tomatoes that have different flavors like that. And it's kind of cool.
How do your tomatoes compare to other tomatoes around the state?
Well, that's a loaded question. I mean, you want my unbiased or my biased answer?
It's your call. It's your call.
Yeah. No, I would have to say they're probably the best. Well, I mean, like I said, we're fortunate enough to be able to leave our tomatoes on the vines till they fully ripen and in direct sunlight. So that has a lot of effect on the flavor. So they do have a different flavor. Anybody who's tried a Hau'ula tomato, I think, could probably say so.
Awesome. Well, we are going to get a little more in depth, kind of comparing your different farms and the situations. I'm stoked about this series because I think people kind of have a standard perspective of what a farm is, and so I'm excited to just kind of feature different farmers and give a more reality of the diversity. So we're going to take a quick break and then get right back into it. Thank you.
Aloha, how you doing? I'm Gordo the Tech Czar, here on ThinkTech Hawaii, where we co-host Hibachi Talk, where we talk about technology and bring in all kinds of cool guests. Also, my co-host with me today is
Andrew the security guy. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching ThinkTech Hawaii, and thanks for watching Hibachi Talk. We also have Angus.
And you there, lad. It's Angus. I bring in all kinds of wee things. Oh, look, you can see my lips moving.
Hi, my name is Cindy Matsuki, and I host the show High Growth with HTDC on ThinkTech Hawaii. This is the show where we talk about all things tech, innovation, entrepreneurship, and manufacturing, because there's so many things going on in Hawaii and more people should know about them. So this is the program that you can come and find out about all the things happening in Hawaii. And this show also airs on Olelo 54 along with ThinkTech Hawaii. And it broadcasts live every other Tuesday at 3 p.m. So don't forget, check out the show Tuesday, 3 p.m. every other week. High Growth with HTDC. Thanks.
And we're back with the first ever episode of Hawaii Farmer Series. I'm your co-host, Matt Johnson. I'm here with my co-host, Justine Espirutu. And we have two of our guests, our first guest of the show, Fung Yang from Small Kline Farms. And we also have Terry Shintaku from Green Growers.
So we kind of got getting into more background and kind of your specifics of your particular farms. I feel like you have such a unique situation in terms of comparing people's vision of a farm and the reality. For when people talk to you about your farm, how do they think you grow mushroom? Are they expecting fields of shrubs with mushrooms growing out of them, or?
Yeah, they probably think it's like Alice in a Wonderland, where you can like play around in a mushroom field and you can play hide and seek in a mushroom behind mushrooms. But actually, no, it's not like that. Usually, we keep mushroom in a dark and feed them with manure.
And so when you walk on to Small Kline Farm, what it is 5 like shipping containers.
Yes.
That you have converted.
Yeah, we use a lot of like waste material at the farm. Like we use pallets for shelvings. We use organic waste for substrate, and we use manure as nutrients for the mushroom, and we purpose shipping container as grow rooms. And so we are trying to use as much waste as possible to lower the cost as well as to reduce waste.
And so how much space does your farm take up?
The farm is fairly small. It's about 0.12 acre.
Wow.
Yeah.
And comparatively, your farm?
I have 2 hydroponic units, one in Hau'ula, which is about 3 acres, and the other one in Punaluu, it's about 1 acre. The one in Punaluu is actually kind of neat. I mean, like as Yang was saying about trying to be sustainable, reusing. The one in Punaluu, we have a spring on the property, so we take the water out. We're totally off the grid.
Oh.
So we use solar panels to power our pumps that power our drip irrigation system. So it's kind of neat. I mean, it's a trial and error. You know, it's a brand new. We've been there in Punaluu for about 5 years now. So we try to do a winter crop there, and we do our summer crops in Hau'ula. But the winter crop it's kind of a neat thing. Like I said, it's off the grid, so it's still experimental. But it seems to be working pretty good. We like it.
So Terry, you were talking about some of the challenges, yeah? Like you had mentioned you have 2 different sites where you're growing your tomatoes, one in Hau'ula and one the other in Punaluu. Why do you have this separation? Because that's a good, probably, 20-minute drive in between the sites?
It's about not even 10 minutes away. It's really close.
Wrong.
It's really close.
It's like not even close.
But no, well, one of the reasons is, okay, we at some point in the growing, we'll start getting diseases. And so, you know, like funguses or viruses will start getting onto our plants. So by being able to completely clean out one field and go into another parcel, we're starting fresh, we're starting clean. So it allows us to continuously grow and be consistent with our product by being able to move somewhere else where it's, you know, doesn't have the diseases. So it's challenging. It's a scheduling thing. We have to really schedule our crops, make sure that we're on schedule. And
I want to remind our thousands of viewers, if you are dying to ask our guests or your lovely co-hosts any questions, join us on Twitter. Tweet us at ThinkTech High, and we'll see it come up and we'll address it. Just had to throw that in there. So one thing I'm wondering about, the investment in solar, or both of you seem to have kind of new technologies or kind of intensive equipment. How did you make that investment? Is that a recent development for your farm, or did you start from the beginning with that? I'm curious of how you guys seem very conscious of taking advantage of these new technologies, but it's so hard. I mean, it's not an easy business. And so how do you guys make those kind of investments? And I know there is some assistance, actually. So I know a little bit about you have gotten some help because they took an interest in the kind of mushroom industry here in Hawaii.
Right,
so.
because before I started the portobello farming in Hawaii, there is none. So I was able to ask USDA for a grant to start a mushroom industry in Hawaii based on the technique that I developed at my farm. So there was about, in 2009, I got funding from SBIR, that is stand for Small Business Innovation Research. And so that grant actually lasts me 4 years, allow me to hire experts, buy some high-tech equipment from Europe, so that instead of using heating element to heat up the substrate and to pasteurize it, I use heat generated from biological activity of the microbe itself, and we trap the heat in the shipping container to kill themselves. So that process,
Suicide.
that process is very unique, and it's very economical because we don't spend any outside heat to heat them up, and then it will heat up. Oh yeah, right there.
I thought you were pointing at the Twitter screen. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Was that an actual mushroom that we just saw from the farm?
We have a few of mushroom look like that, but you have to look for them.
Yeah. Just kind of running around a little bit.
Yep. They play hide and seek with people.
The Alice
there.
in the Wonderland fields.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So how about you said that your farm is kind of the first using the technology you guys have. Did you have the same kind of assistance or?
Yeah, well, when I started up that Punaluu project, I had help from the USDA, same thing. It was a National Natural Resource.
It was an
whatever
ag development program.
Yeah, ag development program. And they were able to come in and, because it was from scratch. It was brand new. And being off the grid was kind of not by choice. It's just how it is. I mean, that property is so isolated. Fortunately.
That's awesome. I mean, I love when you're in a situation where you're forced to kind of do the greener thing.
Exactly. I mean, I looked around and, I mean, for me to bring in electricity to power my pumps, I was like, this is crazy. The overhead cost was going to be so high.
How far?
So, oh God, I'm about a quarter mile off of the main road. So
I see.
I knew I had a good water source, so that wasn't a problem. As long as you have water. So then I started looking around, and I found these panels that were powering. It's the same as on boats. What they use on boats is these little pumps that they put on boats.
Yeah,
So I
pretty
just
much like that big, right?
it's real small. It's just to power drip irrigation lines, and So it was like I said, it was born out of necessity, but we started putting it together, experimenting, and see, I mean, like anything else, trial and error, see what size pumps, how many panels we needed, and try to keep things at the minimum because cost is always a problem. But so it worked, and we're in our 5th season now.
Wow.
There, and
Nice.
I think it's getting better and better every year. So hopefully we'll expand that project more too, in the future.
Yeah, talking about water, so we've had quite a bit of rain in the past few weeks. I don't know if you guys noticed any rain at the farm that
No, it doesn't matter to me because I'm inside.
So that's interesting. So the rain hasn't affected you because all of your operations are inside containers, but now Terry, do you have the same situation?
I think I'll grow mushrooms. Yeah, we've had as everybody knows, we've had so much rain this summer, and summer is usually our really big growing season, but because of all the storms that have been coming through this past year, I think this last month we've had almost 20 inches of rain out on the windward side.
Oh, wow.
And so that's not really good. Tomatoes they don't do good and rain at all. I mean, it cracks the fruit, brings in funguses, and so we've been pretty slow this last few weeks. But you got to take the good with the bad, or the bad with the good, and you're a farmer. You just learn how to adjust. Not that I'm happy about it, but that's part of farming. You just take it in stride.
I'm also interested in situations like that for small farmers versus larger farmers, considering the different or the various markets that you're selling your product to. Do you have a particular relationship or something to do with your size of your farm that you can say, hey, Matt, like I don't have any tomatoes this week?
Oh no,
for
I
Oahu
have
Fresh?
such a great repertoire with my my chefs and my whoever like
Your mats.
my mats, the guys that do my CSAs and whatever. It's like they understand that we're small and they're happy to get our product, but I can tell them, like this week we're short after all the rain, so I'll text them or call them and say, hey, we're going to be down, and they're like, okay. I give them as much notice as I can, and then there'll be times, and then I'll say, okay, we'll be back up next week, and then they're all good. They're all open. They're back. So, like I said, they're really supportive of our product, and they're happy to get it when we can get it to them. So we try our best to be consistent, but it's really good. The trend now with the chefs has been to try to get as much local products as possible, and so it's made our marketing so much easier.
And do you guys do any exporting or?
No,
No,
we
okay.
cannot. Tomatoes cannot be exported.
Oh.
We have to keep it within the state because of the fruit
wow.
fly
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I didn't know that.
potential. Yeah.
And then I'm curious because every farmer seems to have a different kind of portfolio. So could you kind of break down maybe your different, each of you, I'll start with you, your different markets, like maybe how much percent, like
Yeah.
50% goes to restaurants?
No, in my case, I would say about almost 90% is
Wow.
restaurants.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Whereas I would say 15 years ago, it was maybe 75% retail and 25%, or maybe 20 years ago. But after the buy local movement started coming in, with Roy Yamaguchi and Alan Wong and all of those guys, the chefs started trying to do the regional cuisine movement, So then they started going around and trying to find farmers that would be willing to supply them. And it worked out really good for us. So slowly, we started changing over to restaurant businesses.
And what does that transition mean to you in terms of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's
Like, is it, prepping yourself, like, okay, this is going to the grocery store. Does it have to look a lot better?
yeah, you're right. You're right about that. Yeah, I mean, when you sell retail, appearance is really, really important. Except for, I have some of these, well, if I say Cocoa Market, for example, there's a small little health food store, but they have a clientele that are so into buying local stuff that they're okay. They're okay with, stuff that aren't first top quality.
Okay. So even within those niches, there's going to be diversity.
Yeah.
Let's briefly kind of recap your kind of market thing as well before we go to
Yeah,
a quick break.
most of the customer, they understand our issues is inconsistent supplies, and we don't have like millions pounds of mushroom to choose from. So what they get is what they get. It is what it is. So we just give them what we got. And usually most of the customer, they're happy with what they got.
And what's your ratio of restaurants to Matty J to farmers markets?
That kind. So we don't have one or two big customers. Everybody is about the same size. So
Okay.
we have like maybe 35% farmers market, and then another 35% restaurants, another 30-something% CSA. So everyone is like equally spread out.
Okay.
So
It's
Interesting.
good having a diverse
Yeah.
market, so if one thing changes, you have this other group you can go to.
exactly. So that's my business model, trying to spread them out thin like pancake.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to take a quick break, and then When we come back, I want to get a little more into your personal journeys into agriculture and also talk a little bit about Hawaii-specific food issues. All right, thank you.
Aloha, this is Reg Baker and I am the host of Business in Hawaii. We talk about positive stories of businesses in Hawaii, how they have been successful and how they have overcome some of the obstacles that a lot of us encounter when we try to have a business here. And believe it or not, there are a number of positive stories here, and we want to talk to all of you. So we broadcast live every Thursday at 2 o'clock, and it rebroadcasts again on Olelo Channel 54. So I sure hope to see you next time. Please tune in on Thursdays at 2 o'clock. Thank you.
Aloha, my name is Miley Scarpino and I'm the host of the Empower Hour. If you're interested in health, nutrition, fitness, here on the island of Oahu, want to learn more about places to train at or different trainers available, then watch my show on Fridays at 3. We have a great time and I hope that you'll come join us. Much aloha, now go get swole!
Aloha, my name is Josh Green. I'm a senator from the Big Island and ER physician. Every other Tuesday, I get to host a show here on the ThinkTech program about healthcare. We call it Healthcare in Hawaii. It's really enjoyable for me to bring other healthcare leaders from around the state to talk about our pressing issues. Hawaii has long been the health state, but we need to keep up the momentum, the inertia, and with your help and with your participation, we can come and share all of the big issues that are pressing day to day. Thanks for joining us every Tuesday, alternating weeks from 2 to 2:45.
Aloha and welcome back to our first episode of the Hawaii Farmers series, where we hear stories from Hawaii's farmers and their supporters. I'm your co-host, Justine Espirutu, and I am joined next to me with my co-host, Matthew Johnson of Oahu Fresh.
Hi.
And today's first guest of our whole series is Fung Yang of Kline Farm and Terry Shintaku of Green Growers. So we've gotten all the details we could possibly get about both of your farms, and I am curious about the unique path that brings everyone into agriculture and farming. Yang is an Olympic sailor. Terry mentioned this farm has been with your family for a while, and you guys both went through universities and returned to the farm.
And also big into rodeo, like that as well. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, you had to bring that out.
So yeah, I'm interested to hear kind of like the dynamic backgrounds of farmers. You know, not
Okay.
everyone comes from, you know.
Yeah, how did you get into the mushroom business?
It was an accident.
Okay.
So it was a lucky accident, actually. And I wasn't looking into farming or trying to be a farmer. I'm just trying to become a business owner. And then I have tried many businesses, and then most of them fail, actually. And then finally, this is the one
Like, just
survived.
being honest, he's like, most of them
So many
fail.
Yeah, most of them fail. So I was one of, so we tried many businesses, and that's what happened when learned from my own mistakes, and then eventually one worked. So this is, the mushroom farm is the one that actually still working, and also the recycling company is also still going. And that's it, I guess. Anything else?
I mean, you've had like multiple careers in a way,
Yeah,
right?
I was selling businesses, I was selling real estate, I was selling dental supplies for
Wow.
dentists,
Oh.
and then I was selling candies.
To small children. But you're also, as Justine had mentioned, you were in the Olympics in 1998, is that? I remember
Yes.
like being at your house and looking up on the wall, and there's like, I mean, it wasn't like an awarding medal, but it was like, I guess
Yeah.
a participation medal.
How do you know that's not a awarding medal?
Well, it wasn't gold, silver, or bronze. So like, I mean, it's still impressive.
Yep. Yeah, so that journey started at my young age when I was just into nature, into the water. So I learned how to sail back in my home country. And then Hong Kong.
Hello, home country. I hope they're tuning in today to hear this story.
So and then I just keep sailing, and then one of my goals is to become professional or Olympic sailor. That's why I come to the University of Hawaii to learn about meteorology and about weather, how to predict the weather. I believe that will help me to advance in my sailing career. So after I finished my degrees in UH with meteorology degree, I realized I don't want to be a weatherman.
You just woke up one day and wow, what is this?
It's so boring looking at the TV monitor all the time. So I decided I need to do
It's like
something
the
else.
TV producers here. are like, what are you talking about?
Everyone's gonna like quit.
Nick's like, I don't like this guy Yang.
Awesome.
So yeah, I decided that's not my deal, and then I went on my own and get my MBA in San Francisco, and then in the process I pick up some other small businesses, adventures, and then my goal is ultimately move back to Hawaii. But to come back to Hawaii, at that time there aren't any jobs that I want to do, so I kind of have to create my own jobs.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a common thread of people that I find really interesting and business owners having that entrepreneurial spirit and being very, like, knowing nothing out there is what I want and I'm going to create something.
Yes, that's what you're gonna do. So that's how I did it, and connect all the dots together: recycling, composting, farming. A lot of waste and land is being not utilized, and waste are not being thrown into the dump. So I decided, well, why don't we put all this together and then start a business based on all this waste, agriculture, recycling, compost, and then bam.
Bam. You make it sound really easy, but I'm sure it wasn't
Bam, bam.
that easy. Great. Terry.
Terry, yeah, why don't we talk a little bit about, so you're talking about your father started up the farm, but then, I mean, obviously you grew up in that farm environment, but you probably had other opportunities or other thoughts of things that you wanted to do.
I grew up on the farm, and it was a lot of work. I mean, I thought to myself, who the heck wants to be a farmer? You know what I mean? All my friends were playing when we were kids, and I'd be on the farm working. But then I went to, well, we always had horses on the farm, and, you know, and it was something that kept my brother and I there, and we started doing rodeo and stuff. So we were always tied to the farm with the horses and the farming and everything. But then I went to UH, and then I was an animal science major, thinking about maybe going to vet school. And then, I don't know, something kicked in, like, I think I'll just go back work on a farm and do the rodeo thing on the side, you know? So then I did. I went back, after I graduated, I went back to the farm, did a lot of rodeoing, and still worked on the farm. And then next thing I know, it just started falling into place, different, as far as the farm went, different opportunities opened up as far as marketing, and then it started to get exciting. I mean, you know, when you start working directly with the customers, which would be the chefs, and seeing how much they appreciated your product, then, you know, it just got to be a fun thing to do. I mean, I still do rodeo and train horses, but the farm has just been pretty awesome. I mean, it's a lot of work, but it's a good way of life. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
And then your kids are really big into rodeo too, right?
Well, my son is.
Okay.
Yeah,
And he's like in college right now, and he's actually competing at the collegiate level.
Yeah, he's in college rodeo. So, yeah, fortunately, he got to do that. Right.
So we actually have 2 minutes left, so let's get it. We wanted to get, you know, a
We need
little
to
bit
roll this on for another half hour.
So,
Can we do that?
to kind of tie it into, you know, part of the point of the series is to, you know, kind of think about our food system here in Hawaii.
Yes.
So if you want to, what one?
I will come up with a question about, so obviously we're talking about like the local food movement, and there's definitely a lot more interest, but also a lot of challenges about farming in Hawaii. What do you guys see, whether it's for yourself or for the industry as a whole, as what needs to happen? Because as we all know, anywhere from 85 to 90% of the food is being imported into the state. So if we're trying to become more of a food sufficient state, from your guys' perspective, since you guys are literally in the ground trying to make it happen, what do you think needs to happen?
I think people need to be educated. They need to learn to focus on the quality, not the quantity. Like most people in here, they focus on the price and
How much they can get.
quantity, how much they can get. In fact, there's another way to look at the food system is the quality. Like Terry, he make the best tomato, and I want to be the best and only for the better.
Only.
Nailed it.
And so that's why I think that's one of the major formula is quality that we have to focus on.
Okay. Terry, you have 10 seconds.
Yeah. Well, no, I agree with that. I mean, I think everybody, the customers now, the people are starting to become a lot more in tune to local products. And, you know, you have, say, like salmonella scares and stuff like that, you know, from things coming, you don't know where they're coming from. So it's unfortunate that we have limited space and the costs are so high to produce, be a farmer. But I think there's a big future in local farming.
Awesome. So that's definitely kind of a theme we're going to carry throughout the whole series, kind of getting that perspective and thoughts from farmers as well as all the other players and characters definitely, that are involved with agriculture and local food here in Hawaii. So this concludes our first episode. You guys can join us every Thursday at this time, except next week. Starting the week after that.
Wait, what?
So thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Yang and Terry, for being on this.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for being my co-host, Matt.
Yay! We did it.
Okay.
Right on.
Aloha.